Hello everybody and welcome back to another Brawlmachine battle report. Today we have Kraye versus Kolgrima, Mobility Caster versus Control Caster. It was definitely an interesting matchup and pretty unique from the other battle reports we've had on the channel so far in a few ways. So I hope you guys do enjoy the video, and if you do, please be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe if you're new. Other than that, I'm not going to take any more of your time before we get into the video, so let's get on with the lists.
So I chose to play Kolgrima for this matchup. She's one of my favorite casters to play in Troll, so I was kind of partial towards her, but I think she was the best pick here, since one of Jace's casters was Kane, and being able to shut down his shooting for one turn is really good. And I felt like she had a pretty solid matchup into Kraye. So she's got Owl Wisdom, so she can prevent a model from being targeted by spells. And then she's got Dark Power, which gives her additional die on magic attack and damage rolls, which is really good for the assassination game because she has a fantastic spray spell, which is Winter's Tide, which is a spray 10. It can cost stationary on a crit. It's cost 2, and it's POW 12, which is pretty solid. Then she's got Vanish, which is good threat extension, and just if I want to place her back after moving up defeat. She's got Hunter's Mark, good threat extension. Freezing Mist is one of her best spells in my opinion. Just set up a massive cloud wall, gives you a lot of control. And then Curse Fate's good at defense debuff. Her feat makes it so all enemy models lose out of sight, flight, and Pathfinder, and cannot make range attacks for one round. And they get pushed 2 inches directly away from Kolgrima, which is a really good control aspect for scenario. And the rest can be super useful, especially against ranged gun lines. Then brought a Trollkin Runebearer. Give 2-inch extra control range for the feat, which is really nice. Or it could reduce one of the costs of her spells by 1, and once in a while could also just spell slave one, like her spray or a Hunter's Mark. Then brought a Pyre Troll for his Flaming Fists animi to give +2 to melee attack damage rolls, and other than that, he's a pretty good gunboat with rate of fire 2, POW 12s, and continuous fire. Then I brought a Troll Impaler. I really like this guy because he can far strike with a POW 13, and also since it's a thrown weapon, I can add any mods to my strength to the POW of this weapon, which can be really good on certain casters like Ragnar. But in this situation, I just wanted to add more range threat. I then brought an Earthborn Dire Troll, which is my favorite heavy in the faction, hands down. He gets a lot of buffs just by being near terrain. Rough terrain gets +2 speed. He gets +2 armor near like obstacles, and then he gets +2 defense while he's by shallow water. And then he's got the really useful Earth Blessing animi, which means so he can't get knocked down stationary and moved by a slam. He's also immune to all types of elemental damage, which is really nice against certain lists. Then brought Bumbles. He's just a really hard-hitting solo with pitch on his bite, which is fantastic since he's on a large base. Other than that, he's pretty tanky. I then brought a Troll Whelp. It's just a 1-point solo. Got some Fury management, some healing, but mainly just there to camp the flag. Then brought some Northkin Fire Eaters. These guys are pretty good. They can get boosted attack and damage rolls when they're on fire, so usually the play is to move the Troll Whelp by the Northkin Fire Eaters, then use the Pyre Troll Animus to make them immune to fire, and hit them with the AoE to set them all on fire. Then I bought a unit of Northkin Bear Handles and Battle Bears. These guys hit really hard. They have ambush. I can increase their range with Hunter's Mark from ambush 2. They're just really good heavy hitters.
So for my list, I was bringing Jeremiah Kraye in Cygnar, specifically the heavy metal theme. So this is actually my first game with Kraye, and he is super fun. I decided after this game that Kraye is probably one of my favorite casters now. Being able to just give all your warjacks that much speed, especially running some slower jacks like the Hammersmith that I had in this list, is just absolutely amazing. Having the Hammersmith something like 11 inches up the board after the first turn, it just felt really, really good. And that's just fantastic for something like a Hammersmith, especially if you're going first. That just gives you so much presence with a really, really powerful model that usually takes a little bit too long to get where it wants to be. So it was really nice to be able to do that. And just in general, he has a super fun kit. His feat gives even more mobility options. You can anti-stealth, you can anti-defense. It's just really, really good overall. I definitely see myself playing Kraye a lot more often now that I've tried him once. So unlike some of my previous games, specifically the last game, where I had a list that kind of built itself just by decisions that I thought were kind of no-brainers based on what was in the list, this list is a lot more just kind of what I own in Cygnar. There's very few things in this list that were like decision points, so that's just kind of my disclaimer here, that not all of these are necessarily competitive for this list at all. So for my battle group, I brought the Hammersmith, which, like I said, with Kraye just feels really, really fun to play, just having so much mobility on this thing. I brought an Ironclad because it's just a standard really good beat stick. It has a knockdown attack, which is really useful. And then I brought the Charger because I absolutely love this thing. It's just a little gun bot that does 2 powerful attacks per turn, and it's really fun. This is just a fun model to use, and having Repo on it makes it even better. So going into solos, I brought Alain Runewood. Alain Runewood is one of those models that I kind of just owned, so I threw him in the list. But he does have Repo, he does have a hand cannon, and I figured I might get a chance to put either Path, or probably just Path to Victory, up on something like my caster if it ever became relevant, so that was kind of nice. He drives for Repo 5, which was kind of irrelevant here because my caster gave that anyways. And Veteran Leader Sword Knight was also relevant because I don't own Sword Knights. So again, he was kind of one of those models that I just threw in because I owned him and I wanted to put him on the table. I also brought Arlan Strangeways. Arlan Strangeways is great. I absolutely love them. They've got Empower, Arcane Reinforcement, Evasive Action, all 3 pretty useful abilities when they come up. Empower specifically is one of my favorites, especially when I've got like Jack Marshals and stuff running around. Unfortunately, this time around I didn't have either of my Jack Marshals because Strangeways themselves is a Jack Marshal. I didn't have either of my Jack Marshals carrying a Warjack today, so Empower was kind of just extra focus for Kraye. Next, I brought a Journeyman Warcaster. I figured having access to Arcane Shield would be kind of nice, just a little bit of an arm buff. Repo, another range 12, POW 12 gun, can sit on a flag, can be relevant where it needs to be relevant, and of course allows me to bring more jacks because I wanted to have a pretty heavy list. With the Journeyman, I brought the Firefly. He's got reasonable melee outlet. Lightning Generator was kind of one of my main tools to remove any infantry, so I was glad I was able to include this thing in the list. And lastly, I brought a Gobber Tinker. I figured with so many jacks, Strangeways might not be enough repair, so an extra mechanic couldn't hurt. And like I said, a lot of this list was kind of just stuff that I owned cobbled together. But I think it worked out mostly okay. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned it before, I did also bring the Squire. This thing's just useful to have in pretty much any list. There's almost no reason not to bring it. And with Kraye giving so much mobility, having extra control range is pretty handy. Cygnar Turn 1. So Reed won the roll to go first, but he decided to take the right side table instead, which was probably a smart decision on his part. The table wasn't necessarily balanced out for the 2 sides. While my side of the table had a fair bit of anti-shooting, just between trenches and walls, his side of the table had forests that he could use to get into the zones, and with something like the Earthborn Troll, he really wanted that. So I move up my Journeyman and my Firefly. I'm putting the Firefly behind the wall, but I don't intend to keep him there because next turn Reed's going to be able to ambush, so I don't want to have him within ambush range, which he currently is. So I'm moving up my solos, and here I was just going to run up the Ironclad, and then Reed points out to me that there's a trick you can do where you trample it and then you repo it, and it moves a lot farther than it would being able to run or just walk and repo. So that was a really neat trick to see, and it allows the Ironclad and the Hammersmith to get a lot farther up the board than they otherwise would have. So here I'm doing the same trick with the Hammersmith, and He's pretty far up the board for a Hammersmith. You normally don't get to see that, which is kind of nice. So he's threatening most of the rectangle zone there, which was kind of my goal, was just to keep the Hammersmith over in that zone. And I'm going to move, I think I'm moving Kraye now. I'm just deciding if he wants to cast anything first. And I think I had a couple spells up here, but they didn't really end up coming into play, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference what they were. I think I put the anti-shooting spell up on the charger. The Journeyman Warcaster was keeping the +3 armor on the Ironclad, I believe, and that might have been it. Oh, I think I also had admonition on something. Not sure what, but maybe that was on the Ironclad. I'm not entirely certain what was on what here. So now I'm just playing around with the positioning on Kraye. I wanted to have him pretty far up the board because I was fairly confident that my opponent wasn't going to be able to lob anything at me on the first turn. So I wanted to just kind of threaten as much as humanly possible. And I think for the most part I succeeded at that, so that was pretty good. And then here I'm just moving up my remaining solos, making sure I've got some on the flag, not that I even really need to have them there yet. And that's into Reed's turn.
Trollbloods Turn 1. So right here, I see Jason moved up quite aggressively with Kraye, using the repo and his speed buffs to move off his jack up really far. So I don't want to commit too much here. I just kind of want to move up to get prepared for next turn, while protecting most of my pieces from the ranged elements. So right now I'm just moving the Earthborn Pyre Troll because I decided he wants to be near there, and I'm just making sure he's beside the obstacle to get the +2 armor, just in case he gets shot up a little. Right here I'm moving Bumbles just down beside him. I want to keep him in some counter charge areas just to make sure if something does like trample up, he might be able to get a counter charge pitch to prevent my Earthborn from taking unnecessary damage. Right here, I'm just moving up Kolgrima. I'm going to be Al's Wisdoming the Pyre Troll. And then I'm just going to be putting down a bunch of clouds. Yeah, I take this back a little because I forgot to do the Harmonious Exaltation, so I'm just doing that real quick before I put down any clouds. And right here, I'm just figuring out where I want to put them. Or no, sorry. Yeah, I forgot to do the clouds earlier, so right now I'm just figuring out the Pyre Troll's AoE, but in 1 second you'll see me put it down. I've already paid the cost for it, but yeah, right here I'm just taking it back a little and putting down all the clouds before I do anything else. And my main goal here is just to keep everything out of the Pyre Troll, and keeping stuff from getting into melee. I realize I'm probably gonna lose some pieces here, but I just want to lose my valuable pieces, so the main thing is protecting the Earthborn, keeping that side safe. I think my Troll Impaler safe, so as long as I keep my lights and my heavy safe, I feel pretty good. Right here I end up deciding not to set that unit on fire, just because I realized they can't really do much this turn anyways, and I can just set up a nice fire AoE next turn for the Pyre Troll, and then have those guys move up, so I'm just positioning it better for that. I picked one of the clouds again to measure with the AoE, so I'm going to be placing that right back.
Cygnar Turn 2. So I'm feeling pretty confident here, actually. I'm pretty sure that I have the advantage at this point in the game. I've kept him fairly far pushed back. I am in a really good position to threaten all of the zones and probably keep most of my pieces alive. So here I move up the Firefly, and I'm taking a few shots into his unit there because I figure if I can kill a few guys there with Lightning Generator, it'll be pretty significant going forward. So I believe I do a good amount of damage to my initial target, which was, I believe, the Impaler, and then I was just arcing it, and I end up getting 3 arcs. So I end up hitting his solo and 2 guys of his unit. And if I remember correctly, I do really, really good here. I think I'm not sure if I kill the first guy in the unit, but I kill the smaller one. I kill the solo, and I think I left the other one on just like a couple boxes. So it was not insignificant at all. So from there, I don't think I did significant damage to the Impaler, unfortunately. From there, I move up the Journeyman Warcaster. He has repo, so I just want to kind of plink his gun into something, because why not? So I plink his gun into the Impaler, and I do make a bit of a mistake here. I definitely should have kept him a little bit farther back. I kind of forgot about how far the Impaler actually threatens, because I only really plink a couple damage, and it's definitely not worth putting him in that much risk. But I do toe the zone, and there I was measuring to make sure I can't get ambushed, which I was pretty safe from, so that was good. So now I'm figuring out what I want to do with everything else. The Journeyman and the Firefly have kind of been distinct from the rest of my my units on the table here. So everything else was kind of a bit more of a puzzle that had to be solved together. And my main thing here is I want to deal a little bit of damage to the Impaler, and I want to take out that unit if possible. So I'm trying to decide what tools I want to use to do this. I have lots of decent guns at my disposal here, and it's kind of just a puzzle now that I have to try and solve. So I spent some time figuring this out, and eventually I move. I think that's Kraye I'm moving there. Yeah, that is. So I move Kraye forward. He's got a couple shots that I think I'm just plinking into the frontmost unit guy there. I forget what the unit's actually called, but so I acknowledge that I'm kind of putting Kraye in a little bit of danger by doing this, but I know I can repo him back and it should be okay. So I plink one of them off the table, and my shot into the other one, I don't actually remember if it kills him or not. So we'll have to see. No, I think I just do some damage, and then I repo back, just to be relatively safe. But then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next, how I'm going to finish him off. I think I settle on the Charger being my my main method for this, but I wanted to also have the Charger be able to plink into something else like the Impaler. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do things, where I want to position my models, and go from there. So I think I decided I'm moving the Charger up, and I'm just going to take my two shots, one into the Impaler and one into the unit. So I think I go for the unit first, boosting everything because it's a Charger and that's easy to do. So he makes his tough roll and he's knocked down, and now I've got to decide whether I want to plink him with my second shot or if I want to take the Impaler. I believe I go for the Impaler here, and I do hit fairly easily, and then I think I did an okay amount of damage, nothing too crazy though, which was a little bit disappointing. And then of course I do have to repo him back at some point. I think I do that, but yeah, I think I'm repoing him. Right, I repoed him centrally because I was worried about my caster being threatened by Kolgrima's spray assassination threat. So I kind of just wanted to have models kind of chunking that up, but at the time I didn't realize it was a spray. I thought it was I thought it was an actual gun, so I was trying to block line of sight. I think at some point I just decided to keep the Charger back for future turns. I didn't want him to take too much unnecessary damage, which is why I just moved him back there. I moved the Ironclad over into the zone. I knew he wasn't going to be able to get to anything, especially with all those clouds up, and I do similarly with the Hammersmith. They're both just kind of towing that zone. The Ironclad, I believe, had admonition, and my goal was kind of just sit barely in the zone and hope that he can't remove both of my models, which I was pretty sure he couldn't because he couldn't see either of them due to the forest. And I think you guys can already see the issue with this plan here, but I'll let that get to Reed's turn. So, moving another model back. I think, oh right, I used Runewood, I'm pretty sure, to plink off the last guy in the unit there. And now I'm just figuring out what I'm doing with the rest of my solos. I think they just kind of shimmy around a little bit, and that's the majority of what I'm doing for my turn here.
Trollbloods Turn 2. So right here, I see how Jason moved up, and I realize I can score up 2 here. Since his jacks are barely towing the zone, I should be able to push them both back with Kolgrima's feet. And then in the zone down there, I see that his junior caster's open. So I'm just checking my throw range, and I'm well within range of that with my Impaler. And then once I do that, I can make his Warjack inert, so it's no longer contesting, and I could just have my bears ambush in this turn, run into the zone, and I will be scoring up 2. And I've taken out the junior caster, and that I essentially take out 10 points because the Firefly is also going to be inert. So right now it's just me figuring it out. I haven't removed the clouds yet or even upkept anything. I'm just planning out my turn here. So the first thing I do here is move up the Troll Impaler. I'm just measuring where the bears can go to. As a safety, I'm making sure that I can get the bears into the Firefly, just in case if I somehow don't kill a junior caster here, I can at least ding it up, maybe even kill it. So right here I'm sniping, powerful shotting, and I'm hitting and just ripping him off the board. So the Firefly is now inert. Here's where I'm seeing if I can score up 3. I decided it's not possible because I'd have to put Kolgrima in a really bad spot to remove those off the flag, and it's not worth losing my caster. Also seeing what the Earthborn can do, and I'm just gonna decide to go with the push here. First thing I'm doing though, moving up the Pyre Trolls, and I'm just hoping for some lucky deviations, hoping I can maybe get something with it. Not expecting much, but he's not doing anything else this turn. Just throwing it out to max range. Roll for deviation, and I actually get good direction here. And I end up hitting a lot of the targets I want, so I believe I boost damage on Arlan. But it doesn't end up cracking. But I end up sending Kraye, Arlan, and that charger over there on fire. Which is still more than I expected out of this guy, which is pretty nice. Just measuring what I can get in here with my feet. And I decide if I really want to get maximum use of the feet, I'm going to have to vanish upwards. Meaning I'm going to get like one less cloud. But I get a lot more in here, and they can't make range attacks this turn, so I feel pretty safe doing this. So I'm just proxying there. I plan to vanish upwards, feet, and then just have Kolgrima walk back. Right here she's feeding. And I'm just measuring all the pushes. So I'm going to be pushing those warjacks out of the zone. So I'm going to be able to cap it. Push everything there back. Main thing is they can't, the entire army pretty much can't make range attacks. Also important, all the jacks lose, everything lose Pathfinder, so those jacks up near the Earthborn Dire Troll are going to have trouble moving through the forest next turn. Just placing down the clouds. I only get 3 here since I had to vanish, but then I'm just going to camp 1 and move back. Have the Earthborn Dire Troll move up to the zone and Animus for Blessing, just so he can't be knocked down or made stationary. Then I have the Bumbles do the same thing as before. Set up nice countercharge lanes, hold back as just kind of a second wave. Then I have my bear unit run in, just cap the zone. And I'll score up 2 here.
Cygnar Turn 3. So I screwed up pretty badly last turn. I let the Journeyman Warcaster die. I let my Warjacks both get pushed out of the zone. It really came down to I didn't think about who I was playing against. I kind of just played as I would generically into any sort of like beat stick based army. But Kolgrima has a lot more tricks than what I was kind of expecting, and I honestly forgot like everything that she does. So losing Pathfinder, getting pushed out of the zones, it was now going to be a really tough situation to try and pull back. Also losing the Firefly, I wasn't too worried about that part though, because I figure I have 2 not juniors, but the Jack Marshals. So if I can get one of them, or even Kraye himself over to it, I can probably get the Firefly back up. So I figure he's probably going to leave it alone for the most part, unless he has absolutely nothing else to do with his unit there. So I can probably get something around to it eventually. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here, because Charger that isn't allowed to shoot is a very sad Charger. And that actually goes for a lot of my models here. Really, the only ones that are still at mostly peak efficiency are my heavies, and they're both stuck behind a forest and clouds. So I, at this point, have no idea what I'm doing with anything. Name of the game for me is basically going to be clog up the zones in a way that forces my opponent to try and answer them. But I know he's at a huge advantage right now, being 2 points up, and it's not going to be that hard for him to get the rest. So I throw Kraye into the circle zone. My logic here is Kraye is probably not dying to a single one of that unit, and nothing else he has is really going to get to him except for maybe the Impaler throwing a spear. So he almost definitely can't score the circle zone. And with that, I'm a little bit safer at least, slightly less scared of losing the game, but it's still definitely a possibility. So I do have to make sure I hold the upper rectangle really well. So I move the Ironclad, and he just kind of toes into that zone there because I can't move him much more than that because the force, he's just not going very far, and Bumbles having a counter charge with pitch is just brutal. So I don't know what I want to do with the Hammersmith. It's kind of a weird situation because I can't get him in Bumbles range, but I need him to be in the zone to be relevant. So I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with the Ironclad there. I think I end up putting just a little bit deeper into the forest. I'm trying to decide if I can get the Hammersmith around to that edge of the zone, but I'm pretty sure I decide that I'm just out. I would need like an extra inch or two. So he's not going to be able to do it even with the repo. I leave him where he is right now. And my goal is, because I'm pretty sure he has admonition, it was either him or the Ironclad with admonition, and I just wanted him to basically be able to say screw you to whatever comes in for the Ironclad.
Trollbloods Turn 3. So right here, I'm looking at the board, and I do have some attrition plays, but I'm pretty sure I can score 2 and just win the game here. So I'm just figuring out how I want to do this, since the 1-jack does have admonition, and if I want to score up, I'm going to have to take that zone, because the bottom zone is just too full of stuff for me to completely remove this turn. But I think I should be able to remove a jack, even if it does have admonition. So I'm seeing if Kolgrima can remove the 2 solos. She is well within range to spray both of them. And right here, I'm just measuring the bear as a backup, just if he can run and contest it. And he is within range, so he can do that too. So my plan here is to walk Bumble up, see if force him to admonition, and then as soon as he had admonitions, I'm going to free strike him with a pitch, so he's going to become knocked down and get slammed away, which is going to make it really easy for my Earthborn Dire Troll to then power throw him is what I was thinking, or possibly even kill him. I'm still deciding here, but I'm thinking if the pitch is worth it too, because I'm also worried that he might put it in a hard to get to spot for my Earthborn. So I'm just considering if that's worth it, and I ended up deciding to go for it, because the Earthborn can actually, with the +2 speed from being in the air forest, covers pretty much the entire zone really easily. So it's not a risk. So end up slamming it. Right here, we're just trying to figure out where exactly that he's going to get slammed to. So I'm going to roll the hit. I end up hitting it, and I do a decent chunk of damage. And I get a pretty good distance on the slam. And he's going to be knocked down over there, which is an easy reach of the Earthborn. So right here is where I'm deciding if I power throw or attack. I end up deciding just to buff him up with the animus from the Pyre Troll and kill him, because even if it fails, it still works towards the attrition game. So if I don't instantly win on scenario, I just have another line of play. So I move up the Pyre Troll to cast the animus. And then since the Warjack's knocked down, I feel pretty comfortable with the Earthborn's ability to deal with the Warjack. So I'm just going to have the Pyre Troll lob some of his AoE since he's got nothing else to do after casting his Animus. And I don't believe I end up getting lucky with any of these. Except for setting Kraye on fire again. Which shouldn't really matter, but that's kind of funny. So I auto-hit since he's knocked down, and I roll pretty solidly. First few rolls are kind of a bit below the curve, but I'm getting good chunks taken out of him. And right here, I just absolutely cracked the last hit, so I still have like 2 Fury left. So I just have him in the zone. And right here, I decided to go for a bit more of the fun play to finish off the game. I'm just going to go to, instead of running the bear up right away, I'm just going to have Kolgrima go to just try to spray them off. So I'm going to vanish forward and then walk up. Then I'm going to cast her spray spell. I don't believe I boost a hit because the Dark Power, the odds are pretty good of hitting. And I'd rather just go for more at this point. So I hit it. Managed to take the Gobber Tinker off the board really easy. And I believe I hit Arlan here. I boost damage. Then with the 4 dice drop the lowest, I pretty easily just take him out.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that battle report, Kraye versus Kolgrima. Unfortunately, I really wasn't paying attention to what his models were capable of, and I kind of just threw scenario in his path. Like, that was definitely a lot of misplays on my part. I really should have been more conscious of what Kolgrima is capable of. But I did quite enjoy playing Kraye. Seeing the mobility that he provides was super fun. And yeah, hopefully next time I play either with Kraye or against Kolgrima, I'm a little more conscious of what she's capable of, because she's very, very powerful on scenario, because just the ability to push every model on the board 2 inches is really huge, especially with against someone like me who likes to keep a lot of like I'm barely in the zone sort of situations. But well done to my opponent there. He saw the opportunity, took advantage of it, and good game overall. So yeah, that's gonna be the wrap for this week's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to drop a like down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I just want to call out that we have now hit 100 subscribers, and I think that's absolutely amazing. So thank you all so much. You're all wonderful people, and have a great day. Peace.